He's got himself that Soul Ring coming in, so a lot of spam is going to be heading the way. And this is one of the things I really love about the Winter Wyvern. You're going to see that Empire, they're presumably going to be staying away from a lot of 5 versus 5 team fights, right? More focus on split pushing and trying to go for pickoffs. This means that Winter Wyvern, he can potentially sit so far back when they go for the split push, and his team is pushing down, four-manning a tower, and there's no contest from Team Empire. He can actually go back and pseudo-defend some of that split pushing by sitting in the back and spamming out Splinter Blast.
Yeah, you're actually seeing that happen right now as FI rotates to this bottom lane, and it looks like with How there, they want to try to go on Silent, but they don't actually know that Aloha Dance is here prepared with his ultimate, and so things might be a little bit tricky here, but... I'm just a little bit worried right now because Empire aren't going to have a lot of map presence because Resolution's opting to go for the Bloodstone, which is really common. You don't really have a lot of farm on your Ember Spirit, and that means if you have 2 cores that are essentially not providing anything for you in fights, you kind of have to avoid, and it means that the supports especially are going to get super underfarmed. Like, just look at the difference. FY is able to just kind of walk into lanes, throw out the Splinter Blast to farm, and he doesn't feel worried at all because he knows that Silent and Resolution are playing the catch-up game. And the reason for that is, once you're behind as a core, you've got one of 2 options. You either go for the safe farm or you try to all in to get a kill. And how often do you see a professional team just all in to try to get a kill to catch somebody back into the game?
Mm-hmm.
It's just too chancy.
Team Empire. Silent's just playing so passively, and it's because he has to. I mean, Vici Gamer have already showed that they're willing to be super aggressive in shutting down the Ember Spirit. In fact, Vici Gaming are now just taking the jungle away from the Ember Spirit. Not even that is an option, as Tombstone being laid out by Ice to farm that away. Empire is still getting a better deal out of the current farm route, though, as they're pushing in both middle and top lane, while Vici Gaming kind of 4-manning in the enemy jungle and not much else.
Yeah, and this is what, if you're Empire, and especially if you're Resolution, you want this to happen right now. Because Vici does have control of your jungle, but at the same time, they're not taking objectives very quickly. And so, usually the trade-off is, as a Stormsphere player, you farm out as much as you can, and then you wait for that one big fight once you have Bloodstone, and then everything changes, right? Mm-hmm. But when that typically happens, you're usually behind a lot of objectives, so it's really worrisome. But Vici, in their haste to try to, clear out the jungle, split up the farm, they're not actually pressuring anything. And so they actually have to get around the map and try to do something. And they might go for this mid tower, but again, they're simply trading 1 for 1. And if you're a team that potentially has the better late game, like Empire does, then you want this to happen. Like, Resolution's going to get a free tower out of it, and now he's only 11, or actually he's quite a bit away off. He's like 2k off of his Bloodstone. You're kind of okay with that type of trade.
Vici Gaming are well set up to be able to catch anybody who tries to TP to defend the middle tower, but I feel like it's very obvious what Vici Gaming are doing here. I mean, Team Empire is still 4-manning up in that top lane because they know Vici Gaming have been spending all their time in the jungle, even if the smoke may come as a surprise to Team Empire, but they should know that Vici Gaming are still around that area. Now, as Vici Gaming start backing themselves up, let's see if they actually catch anybody from Team Empire who maybe lingers a bit too long.
Yeah, Resolution just TP's mid, continuing to farm out the map, just wait things out as long as possible. But now the scary thing is that How is going to have an Orchid for the next fight, and that means that Empire almost always have to dodge fights now. You only wait for Vici Gaming to overextend, because you just don't have the personnel or the amount of farm necessary to get into fights, and FY with this Invis rune is going to be quite scary too, but luckily for Empire, nobody's near him, but Vici Gaming have just been so good about invading the jungle at all times. I'm actually really impressed by how FY has been playing this entire game, and maybe this series.
FY not able to find that opening, and seems a little birdie seemed to have taken Silent off. The fact that Vici Gaming were coming for a gank, Yoki is going to be the target of a rupture. The Splinter Blast doesn't land. Yoki managed to dodge the silence at the very least. Now the Disruptor actually drops the ultimate and controlling Vici Gaming a bit. Yoki has that Shallow Grave protecting him for now. Goes for the charge out as the Rupture fades and almost got away. But now Winter Wyvern locks him down with the Winter's Curse. It's a lot expended for just the Spirit Breaker kill, but they will get it in the end as Yoki no longer has an escape.
Yeah, but meanwhile, at this bottom tower, Resolution just continues to play for the split push game. He shouldn't be afraid of this because he knows that the Winter's Curse has been used, so he actually just goes for the tower in front of their faces, but he has to get out for this, and he should be able to.
Roshan, don't tell me! Oh, he bashed him up!
Oh, they know too because of the Bloodseeker! This is disastrous! He's just trying to suicide now!
Resolution dies just before Hao gets there. No, Roshan's pissed! He just bashes up Hao as well! Roche, have some mercy. These teams don't want to fight you yet.
All right, I'm not biased towards any team, but I'm biased towards that hero, and that hurt to watch. Oh, that was painful. I saw it coming, too, is the thing. You get that ominous feeling. You're like, that was a sick play. He grips the Winter Wyvern, and then, of course, he gets bashed by Roshan at the last second. He was gone, too. Oh, that's so unfortunate for him.
Silent grabs the regeneration rune. The rest of the team is heading up to the top lane. They want a free pickoff on Fenrir. With the charge there, Aloha Dance can actually bring him back farther away from the Tier 2 tower. This essentially means there's the rotation from Vici Gaming isn't going to be nearly as powerful. They'll still get Fenrir, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a response from Vici Gaming in time. So well played by Team Empire, finding a small opening there.
That's their first successful gank.
Yes.
In quite some time. And so they're going to be really satisfied with that because, again, all it is opening up the map. They're going to
go for Super next. He's already being charged out. Aloha Dance does have his ultimate. Sure enough, going all in for Super. The Cold Embrace is there, though, and Super will be kept alive. Now, Yoki needs to make an escape. He's got 4 seconds until the TP. Oh, he's just going to try and TP out the damage.
Oh, is he there?
Not enough. Spirit Breaker.
The burn. The Orchid burn is enough to kill him.
It kills him inside of the fountain, just barely.
Oh, that was so sick by Vici Gaming to turn that around. That Cold Embrace was perfectly placed. They just didn't have enough to kill Super. And that Orchid at the same time, the presence of mind for how to drop that was absolutely fantastic. And a good turnaround for them. That was just Empire being a little bit too greedy. Like they should have been satisfied with getting the Vengeful Spirit, but they thought that Vici Gaming wouldn't foresee the second game coming, which they were correct. It just happened that Vici was all there. And they're going to be prepped to take this Tier 1 tower.
Team Empire are still aggressively pushing forward in order to get as much farm as humanly possible. Silent is pushing into the Tier 2 tower. Resolution is quick to try and push out that bottom lane as well. So they are making good use of the space that the Spirit Breaker created when he died. As we can now see that Bloodstone is up, and Silent will start building the first couple of damage items working towards that Battle Fury.
Yeah, for a Storm, 20-minute battle or Bloodstone isn't too terrible considering that they don't have an overwhelming tower advantage or anything like that. I think it's a little bit slower than you would like, especially if you just decide to go for treads into the Magic Wand bottle standard setup. It's probably an item that you would prefer to have about 2 or 3 minutes faster. But especially with that Roshan death, like if that had happened, he probably would have had it at 18 minutes. But this is really typical now. You're going to see that the Spirit Breaker showed himself top, so they don't see this gank coming. And the Storm picks up a Bloodstone, so they want to be able to get this kill. But Vici are completely prepared for it. Hao is coming in Invis behind them. This Orchid is just going to absolutely ruin this fight for them.
Oh, it really is. Hao starts popping the smoke.
They have no idea.
And Resolution, he's kind of jumping around a little bit. I feel like they know something is up. And sure enough, there goes the reveal of Hao. He throws the Orchid on to Always Want to Fly. Jump back in, though. Resolution. Whoa! He actually tried to go for Hao there with the control of the Disruptor ultimate. But that was a bad idea. Empire may lose multiple heroes. Resolution. There it is. The Winter's Curse comes out from the Winter Wyvern to make sure that TP is not successful. All he's left is with the suicide play. Of course, Silent farming right underneath the nose of Vici Gaming because he knows he can. But it also is pretty poor trade-off for Team Empire, as Vici Gaming are now going to be able to take Roshan on top of the kills they got.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. There's just been a lot of uncharacteristic moves by Empire, because they knew that the Queen of Pain was invis. When he dropped the Remnant on the ground, and it got blown up, he knew. He started to run away, and then they saw that the fight was just not possible, especially when the Cold Embrace went on Hao. But then he re-engaged with his mana, and just used his entire pull to try to get out in front of FY, who had the Winter's Curse up. And so what was originally meant to be a free Bloodstone charge for the Storm Spirit using that smoke, all of a sudden just completely turns around on them.
And we now have an Aegis for our Queen of Pain. Why do you think the Queen of Pain is chosen instead of Bloodseeker? I can see some merits to both.
Because if you're a Queen of Pain and you only have an Orchid, actually
Aloha
top
Dance.
First. Aloha Dance should be going down for this.
Yep, there goes the ultimate, and the last right click is there as well.
Yeah, as I was saying though, the Queen of Pain, if she just goes for the straight Orchid build and you have 4 levels of pull, you can actually do around 1,300 damage because her armor, if you notice, is not that great. It's only 5 armor. 1100 HP. So if she's missing any sort of health, then the Storm if you max distance jump, you can almost always kill the Queen of Pain with just the Orchid. And so he can't do that to the Bloodseeker, though, because the Bloodseeker has a lot of armor. He can just run away, zip out. He's got 1400 health. It's really unlikely, right? Mm-hmm. But it's pretty much just to secure that the Queen of Pain can't get opened up across from max distance.
Fair enough. 22 minutes in and 8-14. Vici Gaming obviously holding a bit of a lead after those last couple of events. A 3,000 gold lead, 1,500 experience. Of course, a pretty drastic thing is resolution. First attempt they go for in order to get a Bloodstone charge, and he has to suicide, meaning he's only left with 5 now. Pretty bad position to be in. It's always the worst feeling when you pick up a Bloodstone and you die immediately.
It really is, because that's an item you just spent 20 minutes building up to, and then you just lose about 3 kills worth of charges in one setup. So it's not the worst thing in the world because he did manage to get the suicide off, but it's more that when you're trying to come back into a game, you're hoping that you're stacking up Bloodstone charges so that your buyback timer gets reduced, you have more mana regen. There's just a lot of benefits to having it stack up, obviously, but Vici Gaming correctly realized they have such an advantage right now with the Aegis and the Orchid, and there's no defensive item picked up on the Storm, and so they're going to try to march down for this in Resolution, trying to split the map, but always want to fly, going to go down to this kill. Hao's got the Orchid ticking off on him as well, and that's just going to be a dominating spree for him.
Now, Silent, meanwhile, I was talking about the Battlefield build, but it should have been kind of tipped off with the early Orchid of the Queen of Pain and Silent still trying to play catch-up. He goes for the Yasha into the Manta to be able to dispel that Orchid's silence. Very smart pickup, especially since the stats will still help him out. And hopefully give him enough effectiveness that they can actually play some 5 versus 5, because it seems like Vici Gaming are not going to make it a question. It seems Empire are going to be forced into a fight sometime soon.
My concern right now for Empire is that even though they're going for the correct item choices, like Silent's going to go for the Manta, is he even going to get it close to near enough for it to actually matter? Because Hao just picked up a BKB and an Orchid. I really like this item build from Hao. He's punishing both the Storm Spirit and the Ember Spirit with one item pickup, and then by going for the Black King bar, it just allows him to continue to snowball, and there's nobody really on Empire that's really going to slow him down or scare him, because he can pop his BKB for most things. If he gets charged by the Spirit Breaker, then FY's there with the Winner's Curse or the Glimmer Cape. Like, there's just too many options right now for him.
Vici Gaming centering up to try and push uphill. They still have that Aegis available. At the same time, the top lane is pushing into the Tier 3 tower. Seems like a shame to waste that kind of farm, but they still want to go for it. Already jumping in, the Orchid being placed onto Resolution, but not a whole lot of damage being placed on him. In fact, if anything, Hao has taken probably 10 times the amount he dished out. Silent is going to run himself back a little bit, afraid of that rupture. Meanwhile, the rest of Empire now going to be initiated. It's Hao. Hits a pretty good Sonic Wave, but both supports stay alive for a little while longer. In fact, Hao, now locked down by Yoki, is going to be losing his Aegis. Resolution, though, immediately caught out by that Winter's Curse. He goes down, but so too does the Queen of Painfall. Now, Resolution comes back, and he desperately needs some kills in order to make that Bloodstone worth it. The charge comes in, bumps back to Ice, 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 now controlled by Resolution as well. Needs another right click, and he'll get him as well as Super. Somebody right click somebody. There goes the Undying. There goes the Bloodseeker as well. And to wrap things up, it is going to be FY dying as well. A great fight for Team Empire, as Vici Gaming maybe just force it a bit too much under the guise that Aegis would give them the advantage.
Honestly, the Spirit Breaker just went to town on the Queen of Pain, and at the same time, you don't really have. If you look at Vici Gaming's lineup, what do they lack? They don't really have the best way to assault the tower, especially when your Bloodseeker doesn't have a BKB. There's no real safe way for him to just hit the tower, and so they had to send Hao first, but they try to get aggressive first, and they managed to pick up a kill on the Storm Spirit, yes, but you don't have the best way to assault, and you definitely don't have the best way to sustain, and so Empire able to clean that up pretty nicely. Resolution with a well-timed buyback, but still doesn't